Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today we got patch 15, the first part of Darktide's anniversary update, a lot sooner than I actually expected we would get it. So we're going to do a quick patch note breakdown of all the most important things, and later on I'll do a live stream of me going over the new veteran builds and some fun interactions to take advantage of during the new update, because between the veteran class actually being complete now with its new keystones and a bunch of important bug fixes, we also got a brand new map and some hidden surprises. But before we get started, I do have to thank you all again for the love and generosity. It's always mind-blowing, so thank you so much. I genuinely appreciate all of you. But for now, we do have to light this off with some fun new stuff that's actually been lurking in the game files. It looks like there's going to be a new Ogryn hammer coming at some point with a second power maul and a two-handed chain axe. Then we have a whole bunch of new cosmetics just laying around. So thank you so much to ads partner Grassman for just digging around and being amazing like usual. The new map is really cool, so I wanted to show my favorite parts of it so far. Yeah, let's go. I grabbed a few people from Discord earlier to just do a chill walkthrough of the entire thing. So if you want to go check my first reaction to every nook and cranny of the new map, that's the first link in the description. And some of the new transitions in different parts of the map were a lot more than I expected. The breach charges to go through the walls were a really nice touch, and just walking through the entire thing feels almost like a story with different parts just opening up to you. And the main town kind of feels alive with all the small things going on. So I ended up taking a bunch of really cool screenshots from the different parts, but I think my favorite part of the entire thing was when I got to the bridge on the way to the arena. There's just something about this section that made me want to run around it for a solid 5 minutes. And then when we got in the arena, it was insanely cool. The battle here felt like more cinematic than anything else. And apparently you can close some gates to stop waves of guys coming through specific parts, but that's something I'm going to have to play around with a little bit more in the future. Either way, I think the map is a huge W, and it's way better than anything else we've seen them put out before. Then we have veteran and its updated keystones, and my first impression of it is that I always feel 1 point short of the perfect build, just not in a fun I have to choose between powerful things way. It's more of the mandatory talent tax problem that we had in the past, and the best example that I have is that all three of the other classes have one minor node before the blitz, but the vet tree has two. And I think this was to try and help with the lack of defensive nodes higher up, but it ended up turning into a mandatory talent tax for 15 toughness that ends up hurting your build diversity. So I would like to see this +1 stamina node removed altogether, so that way we have to choose between HP, toughness, or movement speed, and then maybe make it like the other trees that force you into 1 or 2 blitzes based on your top 3 picks. So the idea is going in the right direction by putting a bunch of the defensive stuff higher up, but it needs to be more consistent like the other classes. And then the veteran shout did get nerfed from 100 to 50 toughness, but you can still stack it on top of itself. So if you're killing a lot of elites, you can still get +100 toughness pretty easily, even if you're just by yourself. And then tons of other talents got moved around that I'll deep dive later on stream. But as we go lower, all of the ability modifiers saw some pretty heavy nerfs, probably to compensate for the new keystones. So bottom left, we have Marksman's Focus, which is really good for crit focus weapons with finesse scaling, and it has some interesting nodes that I'm going to have to play around with. Then after that, initially I thought that focus target was going to just be a meme pick, but after seeing it in action, the ping is like super clear and very, very easy to see for you and your team. And the buffs aren't too bad, so I don't think it's amazing, but it's not as terrible as I thought it was going to be either. So I think after it gets some love, it'll be a solid pick, because honestly, nothing compares to Weapon Specialist right now. As we know, melee vet has been a little bit of a problem for a little while now. And it feels even better with the 25% attack speed when you combine both of these talents. So most of my builds were based around melee and agile engagement before, and it looks like that route just got even better now. So there's a bunch of nodes under it that feel really amazing to use too. But again, in the future, I do hope they evolve the vet tree even more, because something as small as that one change to the small nodes at the top would make such a massive difference in how good your build could feel. So I have a feeling we'll be seeing a lot of John Darktides this week. And when we first got introduced to him, everyone had a pretty good laugh, but it gave birth to something so much more sinister. Clay, the Pearl Clutcher, master of Mauled and Clutcher of Pearls, is still unhappy with our compensation for beta testing, but the free cosmetics are a nice touch, honestly. So this Vanguard Bundle was announced a few days ago, but because it wasn't really posted anywhere other than their forums, I wanted to bring it back up just so nobody misses out on it. You have until November 17th, so that's 3 days from now, to just log in, and you should be able to get the bundle whenever they release it. But I know a lot of people are unhappy with it because of the Xbox event, and they feel a little jealous because of that event. But I do think it was good that they gave the console players a fat stack. But I think it's also important to understand that some people that supported the game at its absolute worst still feel like they got shafted with the meme helmet, and they just want to be able to choose a free outfit from the feedback I've been seeing. I've talked about this a few times before, but just so you can hear my finalized opinion about it, I'm still clutching my pearls for 3K Aquilas. I think this is honestly just a happy balance to give everyone, more so for the shop price increase of the premium cosmetics than anything else, and they could just label it as a thank you on top of everything else. I play a lot of other games that toxically monetize to the point that it would make your head spin, and every single time they do something stupid that makes people mad or have any kind of price increase on anything, they just give out a freebie of your choice, and it curves any bit of animosity and just makes everybody happy. So in my opinion, I think that's what Fat Shark should do here too. I think it would make a world of difference in just pleasing everybody, and it wouldn't really hurt them at all. And honestly, it would just make people buy more skins. But I will say the Ogryn's up massive because of the glowing goggles, and I like that we're getting a backpack too. We also got an inspect feature, and it's pretty cool to be able to see your teammates' weapons at the start of the game, even if it outs them for using something a little bit silly. And in the Morningstar, you can actually see their entire build. This is fine. I just really enjoy quality of life stuff like this, and the group buff icons are a great step in just cleaning the UI up and just making things easier to understand overall. But now we're probably at the most important part of the entire patch notes, the bug fixes and talent tweaks. So I'm just going to go over what I think is the most important, because a lot of people, including myself, were very disappointed they didn't hotfix some of this stuff out. So finally, after 3 weeks, we get to see the Surge Staff fixed to not have the bonus for empowered psionics. So thank the Emperor that's fixed, because it was annoying to see it in almost every single random queue game that I ended up in. And Assail's recharge rate did get nerfed a little bit, but I don't think that was the main problem here. The issue is overpowered souls still on the higher difficulties. It just lets you get so many back so fast. And I think this was more just to curve it out in the lower stuff, but I also don't want to see Assails gutted out of existence at any point, because I think they're really cool and they could be a really fun, interesting part of everybody's build if they weren't so ridiculous. Then the support Zealot alt got buffed to stagger monstrosities on every other pulse instead of first and last. I think this was a much needed change because of how easy it is to just get yeeted out of it. And in the future, I'd like to see an unstoppable added to the ultimate, because there's just some really bad interactions that can happen that we went over a few times already, but it just feels horrible to get stunned out of this ult or just like knocked out of it, especially just in the wind up animation. Getting it canceled feels terrible. And unfortunately, the Ogryn light 'em up talent finally got hit. So it was a fun run while it lasted to delete monstrosities with pretty much every weapon, but for now we'll just have to settle for doing it with the heavy stubber. But we also saw a massive nerf to bleed versus big boys. It kind of just tickles them now, so we'll see how this one plays out, but it was definitely overtuned before, so I just think they're trying to find the right place for it, and they're almost there. Now, one thing that I was complaining about last update was it kind of felt like between our power creep and the talents and all the different weapon buffs that Orc Maelstrom felt a little too easy outside of melee Maelstrom, so they did ramp up the difficulty on all of them, which I think is a really good thing, and I can't wait to get out there on stream later trying out all the new vet builds. So my first impressions of the patch are that I like a lot more stuff than I don't like. The map and the bug fixes were huge W's for me, but I really wanted that part 1 and 2 to be the same update. I don't like drip fed content at all, but I also don't know the time frame that part 2 releases. For example, if it's next week, then I think that's good pacing, but if it's in 3 to 4 weeks, it'll be almost as annoying as having to watch the cutscene on every new character and computer, unfortunately. But at least the cutscene's cool and explains what we'll be doing. Seeing Mr. Big Dick walk off the ship was pretty epic, and the entire thing is really nice to finally be able to see like the big boss that we'll be fighting later on. It also teases his lieutenants, the Karnak twins, who are apparently what we'll have to deal with eventually. The map we got today doesn't have a boss tied to it at all, and I assumed that it would be in the arena, but I was just wrong about that. So let me know how you guys are feeling about the new map, the update, and everything down in the comments. I'll be breaking everything down more in depth on stream later in a few hours after this goes up, and I'll just announce it in Discord like usual, and I'll be doing my thoughts and opinions video in about a week from now with the tier list updates. I do want to apologize for not getting the patch 14 version of that out, along with the other videos I had planned. I just had no free time because I got really sick after Halloween, and life turned into an energy drink cold pill fever dream. But I'm feeling a lot better now that that's over, and I'll just be getting everything done this week. So that's going to be all for now. I hope you all have a great night, and I wish you the best of luck out there.